every level of consciousness.
Consciousness doesn't make any sense.
Straight up.
Sights, sounds, smells, textures, the warmth of love, the sting of sadness, the coldness of heartbreak. Why do we experience any of it? We've mapped out the entire observable universe, measured every single neuron in our brains, and we've even trained machines to think, speak, and act just like us. And still, we don't understand the most fundamental thing about human existence.
Isn't that shit so crazy that, like, no matter what we experience in our daily lives, something that we will never fucking understand, or it seems like we will never understand, is the idea that we are going to exist in general in the space that we're in, like why we are here, why we exist, what is going on. Like, we don't understand any of that shit. And it's like the very fundamental aspect of like our existence in general. Like, why are we here? How are we here? What is consciousness? Like, all these things, we don't even fucking understand that shit. We just go to work, we work on 9 to 5s, we do whatever we do. We exist in the space without, like, sometimes you just like don't think about that shit, like the deeper aspect of it, like why am I here, like what really is the reason for us being here, and how do we exist? I think that's so crazy.
Why does it feel like anything to be you? Why is there a little person inside of your head and a story of your life that
What the
exists
fuck?
through time?
That shit looks
Although
hella
it's
weird.
something that every single person who has ever existed has experienced, consciousness is one of the most difficult things to explain or understand. Philosophers, mystics, scientists, and religious leaders have all come to the same uncomfortable conclusion. Consciousness isn't as straightforward as it appears. It unfolds in levels, and the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. So let's dive in.
What do you guys think is going to be the most likely scenario? If you're thinking about consciousness from a really deep point, what is the most likely thing to be the case, you think? You think it's religion? Like, you think it's a god? You think that it's maybe something else other than that? Like, if it's not a god, then maybe it's like we just exist because the universe fucking deemed that we exist, and it's all coincidence, which I think is actually more unlikely rather than God. Holy AI. Do you think that this guy's using AI? Oh my god. Do you think he's using AI in the video? Kind of seems like maybe it's possible. I think that, like, the fact that anything exists, we are the universe, we are one within the stars, I think that's also a really interesting theory. So here's my take on it, right? If we exist for any reason at all, I think it's likely that. Oh shit! Thanks for the follow, Alex. Appreciate you, Alex676969. Holy W username. Oh my god, W mans. So I think it's really likely that humans exist, or just are in general everything. So I don't necessarily think that humans have an intrinsic value that's higher than like any other thing that exists in the universe either. So I think that it's possible to look at it and think of it that way, where it's like, yes, humans have a level of consciousness and understanding of things that are higher than other animals. I honestly don't even know if that's true though. Like, you ever think it's kind of strange that a lot of animals exist and they seem to have a really deep connection with the earth? Like, it seems like they understand things at a higher level than we do in certain aspects. And that's why I think that human intelligence isn't necessarily like the determining factor of like intelligence. I think we base everything on that, but we don't really look deeper than that and understand that our existence as a whole is not truly it's not based on a hierarchy. You know what I mean? Religion, because the universe is too complicated for it to not have a creator. So I think that, like, the idea of human based religion doesn't make sense. because it came from our idea and our understanding. I think that it's impossible to comprehend the universe from a human standpoint. Our understanding of how anything works around us is based on what we think, right? So inherently, that has some flaws, in my opinion. I don't think that it's possible for us to fully interpret like what's going on. And some people might say like, well, yeah, but that's like, that is religion. It's like these gods exist and they have a higher understanding and they're controlling everything. But I think the idea of those religions is also a human understanding of like a, for a way for us to cope and understand things when in reality we're never going to fully understand it. So in my viewpoint, I try and stay really open-minded with this stuff because I think being an atheist is just as crazy as like believing in some sort of god. But the idea of believing in no creator honestly might be even crazier if you think about it. Cuz then it's like how the fuck, why the fuck, like what why does anything exist and how does anything exist? And so another thing that's kind of insane to me is like the cyclic universe theory, the idea that there was no beginning or end to anything and it's just been, in a cycle. So Big Bang, boom, expansion, compression, back into particle, Big Bang again. But there's no beginning or end to that cycle, meaning that it's our concept of time is so human. Like we don't understand the idea of infinity. It's the same thing as like our human understanding of numbers. We know that there's like infinite numbers because you can just keep counting, but if you try and conceptualize like a trillion, that's like already beyond our understanding. If even when you're conceptualizing like billions, like I feel like billions are a little bit, it kind of makes a little bit more sense, but once you're going to a trillion, it's like, bro, like what the fuck? 1,000 of billions, and then that's 1,000 of millions. Like that's a lot. So there's 7 levels of consciousness
Level 1,
according to
deep
humans.
sleep.
Deep sleep?
Enter it every night without thinking, slipping past the edge of thought into a void so empty that even the concept of it being a void disappears. The entire world dissolves, the self vanishes, and even dreams don't exist at this level.
Oh.
All there is a silent stillness that's vast and impenetrable. Although we experience this every night.
Red Nasty got hit with ads. Who else is dealing with ads right now? We'll wait. We'll wait for the ad viewers. Back into it.
It still exists beyond the realm of our understanding. Just like you can't understand what it's like to be blind by closing your eyes.
Right.
You can't understand what deep sleep feels like by taking a nap. All
Right.
we do know is that one moment you're awake, fully aware of your surroundings, and the next moment
you're not.
you're awake and fully aware of your surroundings. But for a few hours in between, you are nowhere, completely oblivious to your surroundings. According to neuroscience...
I will say something that, for me personally, when I'm experiencing deep sleep, I feel like I have a concept of time when I'm sleeping. Because I don't think, for me, okay, fuck, I got little chip pieces in my throat, shit. So I think genuinely, like, there is technically, like, you are awake, and then suddenly you're not, and then you are awake again immediately. For me, I feel like I have a concept of time when I'm sleeping, where it doesn't necessarily feel instantaneous like that. It feels like a process. It feels like my brain is going through a process, which it is. But I do not know how to explain it. It doesn't feel like I'm not conscious. It doesn't feel like I'm conscious and then like I transition to sleep and then I'm conscious again immediately. It does not feel like that. Do you think you can develop deeper consciousness in adulthood, or is it limited to a specific component? I think it really depends on who you are, for sure. I think that you can seek higher consciousness. I think there are some people that exist that literally just don't care about anything. And so they don't seek higher consciousness. They don't seek a higher understanding of anything. So they literally just drone. I think that there are people that actually do that genuinely. And it's like, okay, if you're just going to exist in this life to just drone around, not actually have a deeper understanding of anything around you, why do you exist? What is the point in doing that shit if you're not going to have a deeper understanding with the world around you? I don't understand. I don't know why you would want to do that. It seems so pointless to me. So, from my understanding and my interpretation of things, I think that you can seek a higher level of consciousness, but I think there is factors that you have to go through in your childhood. And sometimes, obviously, you might be born with certain things. Like, I think that everyone's brain chemistry might work a little bit different from birth, but how you were raised and how the people you're around, the interactions that you have throughout your life, I think they all have an impact on your consciousness and your ability to interpret things from a deeper level. So I believe that there is a level to that that can't necessarily be influenced. Like some people are going to have a natural affinity to things. I think some people are going to have a naturally higher understanding of consciousness or higher level of consciousness, but some people, not necessarily. But yeah, some people are straight up NPCs and they choose to be NPCs. That's my viewpoint of it. Because there is no way that people just exist and they don't choose to exist that way. I think that's fucking doesn't make sense to me. Because you can just choose to be a dickhead. You can choose to be a person that refuses to think deeper about things because you're uncomfortable. I think that if you are taking away the individual liberty to look deeper within from a person by saying that they're just set that way, that then they're just not human. You know what I mean? I think that that's a direct component to being a human being is the fact that you are able to reflect and understand things at a deeper level. I don't think that you can be human without that.
You're in what's called the delta wave state. It's a deep, slow rhythm that's pulsing through your brain at less than 4 cycles per second. It's the body's most restorative mode, where the nervous system resets, tissues heal, and your memory consolidates.
So this is what I'm talking about. When you're going through these sleep cycles, I feel like my understanding and my consciousness, I feel like my body is repairing. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm instantly awake after I sleep. It doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't feel like that for me. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I don't feel like I'm instantly waking up after I sleep. Where's the YouTube video screen? Oh, my bad. I forgot. Sorry. Am I familiar with speedrunning? Yes, I am familiar with speedrunning. Feel like a hot sack of shit when I wake up. Yeah. That's how a lot of us feel. But you don't necessarily instantly wake up, right? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think there's ever a point in time where I instantly wake up. And there was something else I wanted to touch on earlier too, where I'm talking about like human consciousness. Like if you are not reflecting and thinking about things at a deeper level, you can't be human. That's also assuming. That's also like putting humans in a category of their own. I think that like people say humans are unique because we have that level of understanding and intelligence in that way. I still don't think that we have the same level of understanding of things as like other animals. So in our personal experience, that makes us human. Like in what I'm saying is like human experience is what makes us human, like our understanding of things. I'm not saying that humans are higher than anything else necessarily. Do you believe in intelligent alien life? I think that it's likely that it exists, but for it to exist and be like overseeing us or controlling us, I don't know about that as much, but it's highly unlikely that alien life doesn't exist at this point. You know what I mean? If you just think about it deeper, and that's also something where I'm like, if God exists, it's not how humans interpret it. It seems highly unlikely that the existence of God is how we interpret religion, because why would everything else exist the way it does? Our observable universe is so insane. So insane. And we have sent rovers places, we've sent fucking satellites that have taken images far as fuck away. Like we have that image of the blue marble of Earth. Like it's like that fucking big. You can barely see it. It looks like a star. That's crazy. Like we have proof that all that shit's not just like a projection or something, right? So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, our understanding of religion can't be the true way. Like the universe is fucking massive. It's so incomprehensibly big, and it's expanding at a rate that makes it virtually impossible for us to reach like other galaxies. So that's why I think that our human understanding of gods is not the way. Who knows? There could be many creators too, but okay, our concept of religion, it can't be the way. It doesn't make sense. So if gods do exist, there's no way that they would make the big ass fucking universe that we have and hyper fixate on the Milky Way galaxy and be like, yeah, humans here, animals here, trees here, life here. Why the fuck would they do that and just make nothing else anything? That doesn't make sense to me. So there's got to be life other places, and who knows? Maybe our understanding of life is not exactly what it means either. Like I don't know. That's why I think like everything that we understand in our realm can't be the exact interpretation of how everything works everywhere else. Like I don't think it's possible for us to understand everything at the highest degree. That's obviously why we keep expanding our knowledge and keep evolving, blah blah blah, but it's just not going to happen. I think it's very arrogant to say humans will figure out the truth. I don't think that we will. Especially living the world we do today. Can you fucking imagine us making it to the next level or interpreting things at a deeper level? I can't. Because what the fuck are we doing?
This state is a necessary maintenance cycle when the mind is turned off so that the body can heal itself.
Yeah, so this, I feel like I feel that.
Stranger is happening. In this state, experience itself ceases to exist. There is no space, no time, and no you.
I don't know, bro. I don't know if that's true.
Into its source,
I don't know if that's true.
The wave returns to the sea and forgets that it ever rose, that it was ever a wave. Philosophers describe it as a kind of temporary annihilation, one without suffering or fear. It's like death being shy. You don't know that you're gone, and yet you awaken, and you somehow know that you were. That paradox.
So this is what I mean when I say that I feel like it still takes time, or I feel like my body's processing or my brain's processing. I still feel like I have a level of consciousness when I'm sleeping like this, in deep sleep. I don't feel like I am gone and then just suddenly awake. There's been very few times where that's actually happened, and the only times that it happens is when I'm in a nap. If like I'm taking a nap and you wake up and you don't know where you are and shit, those naps, it feels like you're waking up immediately. Because you also go, oh shit, how long was I sleeping for? That's the first thing that always comes to my mind when I'm taking those naps. I'm always like, how long have I been sleeping for? Because I have no understanding. I'm confused. Ruby, come here. It's okay. Dog barking time. So when I'm taking these naps and you wake up, you're confused as hell. You don't know where you are. You're like, how long was I napping for? And a motherfucker goes, yeah, you were asleep for like 3 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? Felt like it was 5 minutes. Those are the only times where I feel like I am so confused and it's like an instant switch back on. But I feel like that's only because I'm sleeping at a time when I'm not supposed to be sleeping, and it messes with like my whole understanding and my brain's processing of like going through the REM cycle and everything. It might be an interrupted sleep cycle at that point where it's like you're sleeping for a certain amount of time and then your brain is like, what the fuck? Because it just wakes up in the middle of its sleep cycle. So, but when I'm sleeping at night, I feel like it takes a while to sleep. Like it doesn't feel like 8 hours type of sleep like when you're sleeping for 8 hours. It doesn't feel like 8 hours is passing and you're just laying there. It does feel like time is happening though. And the only way I can describe that is because there's a level of consciousness that I still have when I'm sleeping. I might be going through like dreams or something, or I don't know what it is, but I feel like I have an understanding of time. Is that unique to just me, or do you guys feel the same way? Because now this is making me feel weird watching this video and he's saying that. Because and they're saying like, oh, it's like your consciousness just evaporates or is completely gone. I do not feel that way when I'm sleeping. So this might be just his interpretation or a philosopher's interpretation, and they're talking about that, but I've never felt that way. People have told me that. They're like, sleep is just like you're dead, basically. Like, I feel like death is maybe like sleep. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't feel like I'm non-existent when I'm sleeping. I've never felt that way. Am I crazy for that? This got me fucked up right now.
To be without being aware of being has haunted even the greatest
Like a toilet in an elevator, there's levels to this shit. Time is a whole nother concept I barely understand on a deeper scale. Well, time is like a human-made concept. But it's also like something that does exist in our reality as humans, and also like plants and animals. But I also feel like we don't understand time to the fullest degree, and I think animals understand it deeper. Because animals, just like us, they want to spread their genes, blah blah blah. I feel like plants might have a greater understanding of time than us, to be honest. If you think about it, plants' life cycle, they are trying to like overtake and do all these things. I guess they're also a form of life that is trying to survive and like pass their genes on. Um, but we're all interconnected. I wonder if plants just have a really good understanding of that, because plants can perceive things around them. They've like Scientists have found out that plants have a level of consciousness that they like are aware that you are there. Like if you're in the presence of like a tree, that tree knows you're there. I don't understand how they know, but they do. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the level of consciousness that we understand, like we're still learning about shit. That's crazy, right? Like we don't fucking know the levels of consciousness that exist. This is just another human interpretation of that.
Level 2.
Okay.
Dreaming.
Dreaming.
Fragments of thought begin to move. Images shimmer into existence, and without opening your eyes, you find yourself somewhere else entirely. This is dreaming, the first world consciousness creates for itself.
Mm-hmm.
In this realm, reality is all self-generated. The senses have shut down, and the body lies motionless. Yet, within the theater of the brain, entire universes are created. Mountains rise and vanish. Faces from memory blend with strangers whom you've never seen before. You experience an entire lifetime in a few minutes. One moment, you're flying through an endless sky, and the next, you're trapped in a room without any doors or windows. And the strangest thing of all is that it all feels real, or at least as real as your everyday waking life. From the scientific perspective, dreaming starts after deep sleep and during REM sleep, the phase of sleep in mammals that comes with rapid eye movements and more brain activity, which leads to more dreams. Your mind is flooded with emotions, imagination, and different narratives. Your body, for the most part, is still stuck in an unconscious state, but the mind is now free to wander, to explore the world it creates for itself without any boundaries. Philosophically, the dream acts as a mirror, a miniature version of existence itself. In Hindu philosophy, this is swapna, the inner world that reflects and
Swapna.
distorts waking reality. The Greeks saw dreams as messages from the gods. Freud saw them as windows into the unconscious. Modern neuroscience calls them memory alchemy, where the brain mixes fragments of the day into symbolic narratives. Yet, none of these explanations capture the uncanny truth. When you dream, you are both the creator and the inhabitant of your world. Inside a dream, you are the laws of physics, the architecture of space, and the author of time.
I think that dreams are so weird because it's like I don't understand the purpose of them. Like if you think about it, what is the real reason why we have dreams? Because if you're dreaming and it's going through that REM sleep cycle where you are rapidly blinking and all of these things are happening, like your brain is going through healing. It's interesting that dreams exist. Like what kind of reasoning do we have to go through dreams? I think some people have talked about like dreams being like one of those experiences that you go through where you are you're kind of like preparing for the future, or is our brain trying to teach us something? Like what's going on with dreams? I know that in some circumstances you're like dreaming about things that you're nervous about or anxious about, right? In some circumstances. But the purpose of that is to possibly prepare you for that circumstance happening in the future because you're anxious about it, you're thinking about it actively. So is dreaming a defense mechanism that humans use, or is it some sort of like weird experience that we don't understand that's like reaching into a different level of consciousness and understanding of the things that are going on beyond our physical understanding? That's what's crazy. Is it spiritual? Like, what is dreaming, bro? That's crazy.
Every voice you hear is your own mind speaking back to you. Every face is carved from your memories. The
Yeah,
dreamer
that's
and the dream
crazy.
are one and the same.
That part is crazy to me. So, like, every person that you see in a dream, you have sculpted as a result of, like, people that you've actively seen. I don't know if it's, like, a one-to-one replication of people that you see in reality, or if it's just, like, details that your brain is, like, creating people. But I've experienced dreams where I'm like, who are these people? And they're just people that you have seen before. That's crazy. Like, how does that even work, bro? That's insane that our memory is capable of storing that information.
You build a world, forget that you built it, and then wander through it as a character. But just like waking life, dreams carry emotion, consequence, and even transformation. A nightmare can make your heart race. A lucid dream can make you feel like a superhero. A positive vision can give you peace that lasts for years. For something not real, dreams leave remarkably real footprints. They reveal the creative nature of consciousness and a scary thought that reality, even our waking reality, may just be another dream. And perhaps that's their deeper lesson. Every night, as your mind weaves impossible worlds and convinces itself that they're true, it rehearses the same act it performs during the day, constructing experience from within. The only difference is that in dreams, you sometimes remember that you're the only one imagining it at all.
So I think it did specify that, like, when we're dreaming, we are imagining a scenario that doesn't exist, but it will exist in our reality.
I've been excited to receive this
Damn
for
it.
a very long time. The book. The
The
ultimate
book.
guide to rebuilding a civilization.
Do you think that we'll
Level
ever
3.
need to rebuild civilization, or do you think humans are just gonna die out?
Waking. As you wake, you notice the red marks on your face, proof that you maybe enjoyed this sleep a little too much. Your eyes squint, struggling to adjust to the orange rays of the yellow morning sun spilling through the window. Outside, the green grass smiles as it's kissed by the morning dew, beneath a bright blue sky where shades of indigo fade softly into violet on the horizon. The last remnants of dusk from the night are gone. You are now fully awake, and your consciousness opens to the complete spectrum of experience. Not just colors, but also sounds, scents, sensations, and emotions. The orchestra of awareness that gives our world a shared meaning. This is waking consciousness, the state we spend most of our lives in, where thought, perception, and action blend into the grand illusion of solidity. Here, the mind and the senses form a partnership, producing what we call reality. You feel the weight of your body, the texture of air against your skin, the rhythm of passing time. The brain processes billions of signals each second, sorting chaos into order, randomness into patterns. Every sound, color, and shape is translated into electrical signals that are then interpreted as a three-dimensional hallucination that's just consistent. Neuroscience calls it the default mode network, the mental system that constructs the ongoing narrative of me and you, the observer at the center of the universe. But the longer you stare at waking life, the more fragile it begins to look. Sensory illusions tell us that we can't even trust our own senses. And even when there are no illusions, our limited senses compared to other living things tell us that we are not experiencing true reality, only the version of it that we can observe. Some cold-blooded animals can see infrared lights. Bats and whales have echolocation. And animals like cows, deer, and butterflies can even detect and use the Earth's magnetic field. Even within humans, some people have synesthesia and can see shapes and colors when they hear music.
Wait,
They
what?
are experiencing the world in a completely different way than all of us will ever be able to.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Shapes and colors while listening to music? That's kind of crazy. What?
Waking, dreaming, and sleep, there lies another state, one that doesn't fit neatly into the usual map of the mind. It's not unconsciousness, not imagination, not ordinary awareness. It is transcendental consciousness. It's a pure and silent awareness that is aware of itself. Here the mind is awake, but utterly still. Thoughts slow down drastically and then vanish. The body remains, the senses remain, but attention has turned inward, resting on the source of awareness itself. It's a state that
Resting on the
meditators across
source of
cultures
awareness
have
itself.
described for millennia, the experience of being without doing, of awareness detached from the machinery of thought. In this state, consciousness is no longer directed at anything, it simply is. From a scientific view, something remarkable is happening. Normally, the brain's left and right hemispheres are somewhat asynchronous. Different regions fire independently and chaotically, especially when the mind is active or distracted.
Okay.
But EEG readings of advanced meditators show something different. The electric signals across both hemispheres of their brains start to synchronize. Their waveforms line up almost like musical instruments playing the same frequency. As the inner mind
Hold on.
stills, so does the brain, and its usual chaos is replaced by harmony and stillness. Philosophically, transcendental consciousness is the first glimpse of the self beyond the self. The Upanishads describe it as Turiya, the fourth state, beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Buddhists call it emptiness, not because it lacks content, but because it lacks boundaries. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." But in this state, even thinking dissolves, and yet, I am remains. There is a profound simplicity to this awareness. It doesn't judge, interpret, or analyze. It just observes. For a few moments, the endless stream of thought that defines waking life goes quiet, and the observer realizes that they were never the thoughts at all, but the space in which those thoughts appear. Many describe the experience as a feeling of returning home. Only home is not a place, but a condition of being that feels more familiar than anything else. It's as if the mind has spent its whole life facing outward, looking for meaning in the world, only to turn around and find that what it sought was the one who was looking.
I'm trying to interpret this to the fullest capacity of my understanding. And this is the thing that I feel like I'm making a connection right now with what he's trying to say, but it's also I'm like not sure exactly what he's talking about. Like I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about.
So consciousness, awareness becomes self.
Yo, what's up, Ozo? I don't know why you said thanks for the 50 bits. I don't know why you said, hey bro, nice boobs. What did I do?
Como influencer, un
What
servicio
boobs are you
móvil
talking about, bro?
confiable es lo más
How
importante.
about just a normal good night? Good night.
Self-luminous.
Hold on. Let me fucking walk in.
And find that what it sought was the one who was looking. In transcendental consciousness,
Bro,
awareness
what?
becomes
That's all I'm saying,
self-luminous.
DB.
The observer and the observed merge
The
into a
observer
single
and-
existence. It's not an escape from the world, but the discovery of what remains when the world disappears. A consciousness untouched by thought, time, or form.
Holy shit. What this is telling me is that I need to fucking meditate. I've done meditation before and it's really interesting what happens. It's like I can't describe it fully because I don't fully understand it yet. Like I've done it once and it's so wild what it does. Like you're listening. I guess it was kind of like a hypnotism in a way. I was listening to a YouTube video and it was like telling me to think these things and do these things. And it was so wild. Trust me, no one can truly explain what consciousness really is or how it's defined. Everything is frequency related. Yeah, I think that it's really interesting because anyone can interpret consciousness any sort of way. Like there's probably a way that we've not heard before that a person will present an idea of what consciousness is and we're going to be like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Like that's what's cool about like us theorizing these things is like in reality, our interpretation or our understanding of our reality might just be exactly what the fuck we're talking about.
At
Let's
this
see.
point, consciousness begins to step beyond what science can comfortably describe.
Mm.
The instruments still record patterns, the brain still hums with coherence, but something about the experience slips through the cracks of measurement. Logic, which once seemed sturdy, starts to tremble. This is where philosophy takes over, where awareness begins to question its own nature and language itself starts to blur. If the mind can be aware without thought, what exactly is doing the knowing? Or what is the I that remains when the story of me falls silent? These aren't questions for neuroscience anymore. They're riddles of existence itself.
I feel like in reality, when you are meditating or you're trying to figure out like if your inner self is no longer aware but who's doing the knowing it's talking about, I think it's still you at the end of the day. You're trying to seek it, so you seeking it is actively participating in an action that requires consciousness. So you're sitting there, you're not necessarily conscious in the same way that you are in our reality or when you're sleeping, but you're using your brain in a way that requires way more understanding of self. So I think that it's just another. I just said. I was just about to say exactly what it is, but it's another level of consciousness, like a level beyond what normal people exhibit. So it's something that you should do actively, is like reflect and participate in some sort of meditation. So clearly meditation unlocks some sort of understanding that most people don't have. And that's kind of what it's talking about, I think. Because for me personally, I don't meditate much, but I'm curious what meditation is defined as, because I feel like there's been times where I've meditated, but not traditionally, not in a way that you would interpret as meditation. Like, I wonder what meditation can be. There's probably levels to meditation itself, but I've meditated like seriously only a few times. And what I can tell you is that like you do have this weird, like, I feel like it's perfectly put where your brain starts working in synchronicity with itself. You're able to actually focus on shit. It's kind of interesting. I feel like I'm curious what level of meditation you can achieve actively doing stuff too, because a lot of the time when I'm doing tricking, for example, I have to like visualize. I have to like close my eyes and think about myself doing the thing and convince myself of doing it. I have to like literally visualize success and then achieve it right away after getting it in my head. And sometimes you visualize failure and it really throws a wrench into things. It's so interesting. This is interesting.
Level 5, Cosmic Consciousness.
So this is the one that I was like,
Eventually,
what the fuck?
Something extraordinary happens. The silence of transcendental awareness stops fading when you open your eyes. The stillness remains even as you move through the world. This is cosmic consciousness, the moment when inner and outer awareness coexist, when the witness behind experience no longer disappears when the experience unfolds. Here, consciousness no longer flickers between opposites. You can think, speak, act, and feel, yet somewhere beneath the surface, a deep, unmoving stillness hums, untouched by any of it. There's joy and sorrow, gain and loss, but all of it happens within a larger, unbroken awareness that simply observes it all. Life continues as before, but your relationship with it is no longer the same.
Oh, okay. So this is like reflection of self to a very high degree. I feel like this is how I interpret a lot of my reality sometimes. When I'm living, I think about like the things that I'm experiencing, the things that I think about from the past, or even like imagining other beings in the same universe as me or whatever. I think about it, I'm like, what is the real meaning of it? You're kind of detached to it physically.
No longer fully in the story. You're watching the story from a distance and, at the same time, living it up close. Science might describe this as continuous meta-awareness, a sustained activation of the brain's frontal monitoring system that tracks internal and external experience simultaneously. Heart rate and brainwave patterns show a balance rarely seen, coherence between the body's alertness and the mind's serenity. Yet what the instruments can't measure is the feeling itself, the quiet astonishment of being awake within the waking.
Oh.
Philosophically, this is the state where self-knowledge becomes direct. The Upanishads describe it as the realization of Atman, the inner self, distinct from the ever-changing play of thoughts and sensations.
So this is kind of like basically talking about human consciousness, I'm guessing, where you're like aware of everything happening, but you're detached from it in a way because you're like, yeah, that's just a product of like what's going on. This is just part of my life. Like, I'm curious if that's what it's talking about exactly, or if it's just talking about like the actual functions of our body physically and mentally working
you begin
together.
To see that the body, emotions, and personality are
I feel like it's talking about both.
Not you, but are expressions of something larger. The witnessing awareness that once was a fleeting meditative glimpse becomes a permanent backdrop. You don't lose your individuality, you just stop mistaking it for the whole truth. The world still moves, but you are no longer swept away by it. The emotions that once consumed you become waves rippling across the surface of an ocean. Suffering still arises, but so does unshakable calm. The recognition that even pain is a movement within consciousness, not outside of it.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting about like this type of consciousness where you're disconnected from the past in a way where you're like, yes, this is just how things go. Like, there's pain where you're reactionary to it. You're like, oh shit, that's pain. Like, that hurts. I need to get away from that. But there's also like pain to a level where you interpret it a little bit deeper. You start realizing that like this is temporary. This is something that is sometimes going to help you. You're going to learn from it. Or I don't know. Is that what he's talking about? Is he talking about... I'm trying to like internalize my thoughts and process them into words, but it's so hard.
You become both the participant and the spectator, both the actor and the stage. This is what many mystics call the witness state,
Witness
the
state.
dawning of enlightenment, the first steady awakening. It's
Hold
not
on, I need to look at
otherworldly or
this.
distant, it's
Thank you,
ordinary
DB.
life, but
Let's look up the witness state. It's a psychological and spiritual state of neutral, non-judgmental observation of one's own thoughts. Okay, right. One's own thoughts, emotions, and sensations. It acts as a detached inner observer that separates self-awareness from the ego-driven mind. Oh my god, allowing individuals to experience thoughts without being consumed by them. See, this helps me. Like, being able to interpret it from a text makes it a little bit easier to understand. You observe rather than react to mental and sensory data, reducing emotional turmoil. Higher consciousness, often described as a second layer of awareness that exists alongside normal consciousness, reduces over-identifications with life's dramas, fosters calm, and reduces reactivity. You know what's interesting about this? I feel like for me, when I apply this into my daily life, I'm thinking about like the pains of like things that I have to do, right? Or the pains of things that I'm trying to, or that I'm trying to get through, like the things that I am suffering with. I have to detach from those things in order to grow past them. Because if I think about them too deeply or attach to them too hard, it feels like I put myself in a state of paralysis where I can't do anything. It's like, okay, so when I'm going through shit, I'm like, yo, I can either become a victim to it, not in this, I'm not saying that this is like making me a better person or anything by saying like becoming a victim or not becoming a victim, but you can become a victim of it in the sense that right then and there, you're identifying with the pain so much that it literally removes your ability to expand past it or even progress. You will literally become so paralyzed by the pain that you can't actually do anything. You have to disconnect from it and observe it from a different standpoint to kind of like reduce the pain of it. So, okay, this is what I meant to say. So, like, everything you go through, you're like, shit, like, this sucks, but then you have to really take it and go, how much does this really matter, though? Like, why does this matter? It doesn't. I can fucking make it past this. I just have to remove it from the equation. So you just take the problem and you minimize it. But you have to observe it from the grand scheme of things. Like, you can't look at it as something that's like, this is a huge thing happening in my life right now. You have to literally take it and go, look at the bigger picture. It's like that meme of the, let's say you're in public. You say something that's kind of embarrassing and there's another person that sees it and they're like making fun of you. And then it zooms out. And it's the world. It says, doesn't matter. It says something like that, like, doesn't matter, and it keeps zooming out. And it shows the world, like the universe. Like, goes to the world, universe, everything. It just keeps expanding. And it's to reflect and be like, yo, this shit is so minimal in your life. This is like a big thing in your life right now. But if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, it looks so small. So it's trying to show you, like, why does it matter? Doesn't matter. And I think that this is kind of similar to, like, how you get past a lot of issues is you have to minimize it by observing it from a outside perspective.
do so while simultaneously resting in the infinite. In cosmic consciousness, the self and the universe begin to mirror each other. You start to sense that the awareness within you and the intelligence that animates the cosmos might be the same thing, two expressions of a single universal mind. The individual soul and the cosmic soul are not separate entities, but reflections meeting in still water. And once you see that, the line between inner and outer reality begins to dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
Level 6. God consciousness.
Yeah, also the cosmic consciousness idea of it being like you are the same entity as the universe. I think it's so interesting. Another example of that is like when you experience universal phenomenon where you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like you have those moments where you're breaking and you're like breaking a fourth wall, it feels like, where you're just experiencing reality and something happens that makes you question all of your reality. I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but if something fourth wall breaking in our reality, which sounds so weird because fourth wall is like typically something you see in some sort of TV show where they're looking at the screen, it feels like that, where you're like having a moment where it feels like you're breaking past the fourth wall of consciousness, where like our interpretation of our reality is broken briefly and you're looking beyond what you can perceive. Like it's weird, but those moments happen in our life where you're like, did that really just happen? Like what the fuck? Like whenever you have a deja vu moment, for example, or um whenever something really strange happens, like you see a person, or you talk to a person, let's say, and then you end up seeing that person that same day. Or you think about a person and then you see them that same day. That one is weird. When you're like, I haven't seen this person in 10 years, and then for some reason that day you think of them, and then you actually run into them on accident. That's so strange. That's like fourth wall breaking shit. That's kind of what I'm talking about, where you start to feel like you are a part of the universe in some way, or you're the same entity. You're like, that's fucking strange. Like it's like you're manifesting reality. So strange.
At some point, awareness begins to shift again. The silent witness that once observed the world from a distance now starts to feel intimately connected to it, as if that same stillness is pulsing through everything you see. This is God consciousness, a state where perception itself becomes sacred, and every aspect of the universe radiates with living intelligence. In this state, consciousness doesn't just witness the world, it feels it. The tree outside your window no longer seems like an object. It breathes, it vibrates, it glows with quiet divinity. The line between the perceiver and the perceived softens, replaced by a sense of reverence that permeates every existence. The same awareness that once sat silently within now begins to overflow, touching everything it counters with love. Neuroscientifically, this shift can be glimpsed in patterns of highly synchronized gamma activity, often observed in advanced meditators experiencing profound compassion or awe. Emotional and sensory centers of the brain begin to merge, producing a kind of refined perception, reality felt not just through the senses but through the heart. But science can only describe the mechanics, it can't capture the meaning.
Right.
What actually happens is that consciousness expands from neutrality into devotion, from witnessing the universe to falling in love with it. Philosophically, God consciousness has appeared in nearly every spiritual tradition. In the Vedic texts, it's described as the blossoming of Sat Chit Ananda, being, consciousness, and bliss, the triad of divine experience.
Right.
Christian mystics call it theosis, union with God through love. Sufis sang of it as ishq-i hachichi, the divine passion that burns away separation. Each points to the same realization. The universe is not a cold mechanism, but a living expression of consciousness, and that consciousness is inherently good, intelligent, and beautiful. In this state, love ceases to be an emotion and becomes a perception, a way of seeing. You don't feel love for the world, you see through love. Every sound, color, and form feels imbued with the same sacred essence that animates you. Compassion becomes effortless, because everything around you feels like an extension of your own being. Even pain and decay begin to shimmer with hidden purpose. God consciousness
this is the thing that I don't know, cause like, thank you. This is my faith. Oh, you're a Sufi. Okay. So I feel like I need to look more into the Sufi faith, but it seems very spiritual. Like, the thing about, I think the most likely religions or faiths to exist are the ones that are more spiritually connected with everything going on around. And technically, every religion that exists has that as like a requirement to be religion. I wouldn't say like a requirement, but I feel like it's like something that exists in all religions. But there's only some religions or some people in those religions that actually exhibit those pieces that are so deep. The thing that I think that most religions get wrong is like most people are not connecting with the religion in this way. At least most people that I meet. And the people that I meet mostly are obviously going to be Christians. So that's why I say like when a faith would make the most sense to me is when it's most spiritual and less of like some sort of rule book, if that makes sense. If they're like with the Bible, for example, I mean, there's many iterations of it, many interpretations of it. They made the New Testament, the Old Testament. The New Testament has all these new rules that didn't exist in the Old Testament, and the Old Testament had all these rules that exist within the time frame of that time, where it justifies that those things that are inherently evil and bad were okay. So it's like, that's where I don't get it. Like, the human interpretation and the human understanding do not make sense. They create rule books to justify horrific things.
Level 7. Unity consciousness.
Unity consciousness. Ooh. I'm curious if unity consciousness is like the idea of consciousness existing in everything all at once. Past, future, present. Like everything all together, the same being.
At the last level lies a state where even the witness disappears. The boundary between observer and observed, between self and world, subject and object, disappears completely. This is unity consciousness, the highest expression of awareness, where the universe knows itself through you, and you know yourself as the universe.
Yes, I knew it, dude. That's so sick. I love that. This idea is so fucking fascinating. It's so sick. The idea that we all exist as one being and all beings exist as us. So cool. My intrinsic worth is no greater than a grain of sand, because we're all part of the same fucking thing. The earth, the oceans, the clouds, the fucking everything. You know, everything that exists in the universe doesn't have an intrinsic value that's greater than the other thing, because they're codependent and they exist in the same reality together and function together, which is beautiful. It's such a cool interpretation and way to respect everything around you. We're just a drop in the ocean, but we're also part of everything. Everything is us, and we are everything. Beautiful.
And outside, mind and matter, life and death, all of it merges into a single, seamless field of being. It's not that you perceive unity, rather you are unity. The infinite doesn't feel distant anymore. It's the very substance of your own awareness. There's no longer a self looking out at the world. There's only consciousness, infinite and self-luminous, flowing through every form and thought like light through glass. From a scientific standpoint, unity consciousness pushes the limit of what we can even measure. Neuroscientists speak of non-dual awareness, a brain state characterized by synchronized coherence across regions, where self-referential processing all but disappears. But this is only the shadow of something that can't truly be quantified, because the experience of unity is not in the brain at all. It's the field in which the brain, the world, and all of existence arise together. This state has been described in countless ways. In Vedanta, it is the realization of Brahman, the one without a second. pure being, consciousness, bliss. In Mahayana Buddhism, it's sunyata, the emptiness that is full, where form and void are one and the same. Mystics of every tradition have spoken of it in paradoxes. The drop that becomes the ocean and yet remains a drop, the flame that recognizes itself in every other flame. In unity consciousness, the sense of time dissolves, the future and past collapse into an eternal present, a boundless now.
Oh, that's so cool. I was just talking about this at the beginning of this section. How it's like we all exist as one in one present, past, future, present. Everything exists into one thing because we are one, and I am you and you are me. And I am the universe and the universe is me. You know what I mean? Where it's not putting me above anyone else or anything that exists in the universe. We're all part of each other. It's fucking awesome. I feel like that's the greatest way to view life because it gives you a respect that's higher than self to everything around you. And it is the best way to visualize our reality, in my opinion. This is awesome. I needed this. I sound like Drake right now.
Contains all moments at once. The mind, once so desperate to grasp and define, falls silent. What remains is not thought, not feeling, not perception, but pure existence, radiant and complete. Every moment, every breath, every heartbeat is seen as the motion of the universe itself. There is no longer a personal god or an external divinity to perceive, because there is nothing outside. The cosmos itself is sacred, the divine dreaming itself into galaxies, into atoms, and into you. The love that began in God consciousness now expands beyond any object, becoming the very nature of awareness.
And this is the thing that I think Christianity gets wrong. Christianity puts an inherent value on humans above everything else. For some reason, it is based all around us. And it's based on us being like, we are sinners, we are this, we are that, right? Like God loves us, but we are also sinners, have committed the ultimate sin. We need to accept God in our life to be forgiven for the sin, and he sent his son down to die for our sins, blah, blah, blah. It puts an inherent value of humans above everything else. And humans interpreting Christianity as a solution, they view it as like, okay, my life is so valuable that God can put me in hell or heaven depending on how I live my life. Out of everything that exists, the universe, the stars, the planets, everything exists. And still, his focus is on us. Why? Like, why? That's the thing that I think it gets wrong, is it puts such an inherent value on humans above everything else that exists. We have animals, we have plants, we have all these things, and they exist to serve us. It is so weird. I don't get that. That's the part that I disagree with, because it puts humans at an inherent value that is above everything else, when in reality we should be viewing it as everything deserves the same level of respect as we believe we deserve, because we are everything and everything is us. And I think that is far more spiritual than anything that a lot of these religions could encompass into their religion. There's such an ego behind humans. And that's the thing that I will never fucking understand. It's the ego that exists, that keeps us boxed into this reality where we have to interpret ourselves as the most deserving of something. We're not deserving. We're not so valuable that we're deserving a place of eternal suffering or eternal life. This is the heaven and hell that we are living in. Our reality is both of those things together. Our reality is the life, the death, and everything in between.
It is love without direction, joy without cause, being without end. And from this vantage point, you see that consciousness never climbed anywhere. It was always whole, always infinite, The
Mm-hmm.
latter was only a way for the mind to understand what the self already
Cyclic
knew.
universe
The
theory.
deep sleep, the dreams, the waking, the silence, the witness, the love, all were movements within the same infinite ocean of being.
And we can't
At this final level,
we
the search
cannot
ends because the
interpret.
seeker has dissolved
infinity.
into what was being sought all along. There is only
We can
one
only
reality,
exist
one
within it.
consciousness, one existence, and it has always been you. From dreamless sleep to cosmic unity, the levels of consciousness go deeper into itself. Each level feels like an ascent, but what if it's really a circle, a return to the source that was never left? We begin in darkness, unaware of awareness, and end in light, realizing that even the darkness was made of it. Science traces these states through waves and frequencies, mapping consciousness in electrical patterns. Philosophy traces them through language and metaphor, through the fragile bridge of meaning. Yet both of them point towards the same unspoken mystery, that consciousness is not something we have, it's what we are. The body changes, the thoughts change, the dreams shift, but the awareness behind them remains untouched, eternal, and self-luminous. Maybe consciousness doesn't emerge from the brain like smoke from fire. Maybe the brain is the instrument and consciousness is the musician. Maybe what we call I is not a separate spark, but the whole fire reflected in a single flame. Across the 7 levels, awareness moves from unknowing to knowing, from separation to unity, from silence to song. In deep sleep, it rests as potential. In dreams, it imagines. In waking, it creates. In transcendence, it remembers itself. In cosmic awareness, it witnesses. In divine love, it celebrates. And in unity, it returns home, only to realize it never truly left. Perhaps consciousness isn't climbing towards some final state, but unfolding infinitely, like a mirror reflecting itself forever.
Right.
The mystics called it the play of God, Lila, the universe experiencing its own reflection through every possible form. Every eye that opens, every mind that awakens, every life that begins and ends. All of it, consciousness exploring itself. So, maybe there aren't 7 levels at all. Maybe there is only one, appearing as many, dreaming as us. And maybe the ultimate truth of consciousness isn't that it's hidden somewhere waiting to be found. Maybe it's that it's been looking through our eyes the whole entire time.
That's deep as fuck. This is such a good video. Holy fuck. This is such a good video. Dude, that was awesome. I'm gonna subscribe to this channel. We gotta watch more videos from him.